Life, in its divine perfection, is but a mirror reflecting the images we hold within. Every thought, every emotion, every word we utter paints itself upon this vast looking glass of existence, and the universe, ever obedient to the laws of spirit, returns to us the likeness of our own creation. The outer world is only the echo of the inner, the shadow cast by the light of consciousness. To gaze upon scarcity, fear, or limitation is to behold merely the reflection of mistaken belief. But when the soul awakens to truth, when it recognizes itself as a divine heir to boundless supply, the mirror clears, and the image of abundance appears in all its radiant splendor. Abundance is not something one strives to attain, it is the natural state of being, the effortless rhythm of the universe. The rivers do not strain to flow, nor the stars to shine. The rose does not question whether it shall bloom. All things move according to the law of perfect supply. It is only when the human mind, clouded by doubt and separation, resists this divine current that lack is made manifest. The mirror, impartial and exact, reflects whatever is placed before it. When we stand before it and declare, "I am rich in ideas, in love, in opportunity," it answers with the same measure. The spoken word, when charged with faith, becomes a creative force that reshapes the image in the glass. There is no limit to what one may behold in this mirror of abundance, for it reflects infinite substance. The treasures of heaven are not distant or reserved for the few. They are here, now, awaiting recognition. To the mind attuned to divine law, every circumstance becomes a doorway to prosperity. What appears as a closed path reveals itself as an opening, when one turns the gaze inward and affirms the truth. I see only plenty before me. For the moment a person ceases to struggle and begins to trust, the mirror softens, and the reflection changes from darkness to light. We are forever standing before this mirror, consciously or not, and the images we cast are shaped by our belief. If we look upon life expecting disappointment, we shall find it multiplied. But if we lift our vision to the mountaintop and proclaim the goodness of all things, the mirror, faithful servant of the Spirit, magnifies that goodness until it fills our world. The key is alignment, the harmonizing of thought, feeling, and word with the truth of abundance that is already ours. The mirror does not judge, it simply returns the likeness of our conviction. So let us hold before it only that which we desire to see: joy, health, freedom, and overflowing supply. Let us become conscious artists of reflection, shaping our reality through the steady gaze of faith. For as we polish the mirror of the mind with gratitude and expectancy, the image of our divine inheritance grows clearer, and life, in its infinite generosity, reveals itself as the perfect reflection of abundance. The outer world mirrors the inner state of belief. For every experience we encounter is but a reflection of the thoughts and emotions that dwell within us. Life is a grand looking glass, ever reflecting back to us the images we project from our consciousness. It does not create independently of our thought, it merely returns what we impress upon it. If the heart holds fear, uncertainty, or resentment, these vibrations shape themselves into forms of limitation and discord in the outer world. But when the mind is filled with faith, love, and confidence in divine order, the mirror responds with harmony, beauty, and abundance. The law is perfect and impersonal. It operates without judgment, simply echoing the tone we set within our own being. When one begins to understand this truth, a great shift occurs in perception. The world ceases to appear as a place of random fortune or misfortune, and is seen instead as a canvas painted by the colors of inner conviction. To blame circumstances, people, or conditions is to misunderstand the power of the creative mind. Every outer condition is but an effect, and every effect has a cause. The cause is thought, charged with feeling and belief. The universe, being obedient to spiritual law, rearranges itself to match the pattern impressed upon it by the mind of the observer. Thus, the wise individual does not attempt to change the mirror by touching its surface, but rather turns inward to cleanse and renew the image within. When a person holds steadfast faith in goodness, prosperity, and peace, life begins to unfold according to that belief. Doors open, opportunities appear, and harmony replaces struggle. This is not coincidence but correspondence. The inner belief attracts the outer form as a magnet draws iron filings. Likewise, when one entertains doubt, fear, or a sense of unworthiness, the mirror reflects these shadows, and the world seems to confirm them. Yet even this is a gift, for the reflection reveals the hidden patterns of thought that require transformation. The outer world, in its seeming challenges, merely holds up a mirror to show us where we have forgotten our divine identity. If one looks into a mirror and sees a frown, it would be futile to attempt to change the reflection by altering the glass. The only way to change what one sees is to smile, to adjust the expression at its source. So it is with life. We may struggle endlessly to rearrange the conditions around us, but until we shift the state of consciousness from which they arise, the reflection remains the same. This is why two people can live under identical circumstances, one finding joy, the other despair. The difference lies not in the world itself, but in the belief that colors it. The mirror of the outer world is sensitive and precise, reflecting even the subtlest tone of inner emotion. When one holds resentment, it manifests as obstacles and disappointments. When one holds gratitude, it manifests as blessings and ease. Every word spoken, every thought entertained, is an image cast upon the mirror. It matters little whether one believes this consciously or not. The law works regardless of awareness. The universe does not take sides. It simply reproduces the vibration impressed upon it. Therefore, to live in peace and abundance, one must become the guardian of their own inner state, tending it with as much care as a gardener tends the soil. To cultivate a belief in good is to till the ground for a fruitful harvest. The seeds of thought are invisible, yet they bear visible results. When we plant seeds of fear, we reap scarcity. When we plant seeds of confidence and trust, we harvest prosperity. The mirror cannot produce what we do not provide. It cannot reflect joy if we radiate worry, nor can it display abundance if we harbor feelings of lack. The transformation of life begins not with effort, but with awareness, with recognizing that we are the source of the images that appear before us. It is often said that seeing is believing, yet in truth, believing is seeing. The outer sight is merely a report of what has already been accepted within. Those who believe in limitation will continually encounter proof of it, for the mirror is faithful to belief. But those who dare to believe in boundless good, even in the face of appearances, find that the reflection gradually shifts to match their conviction. The invisible forces of the universe respond to unwavering belief like light responds to a polished surface, illuminating everything in its path. When the inner life is harmonized with truth, the outer life aligns effortlessly. This is why spiritual teachers have always urged the practice of inner stillness and affirmation. The calm, centered mind reflects order. The agitated, fearful mind reflects confusion. It is not that life punishes or rewards, it simply mirrors. Each thought is a brushstroke upon the mirror of existence, creating patterns of experience that align with its frequency. To change one's life, one must first change the image in the mind. Replace complaint with praise, replace worry with trust, replace doubt with certainty in the divine supply that never fails. The outer world cannot contradict the inner vision for long. Sooner or later, the reflection must adjust to the dominant belief. If we persist in seeing the good, even when it is not yet visible, we call it forth into form. The mirror, ever obedient, reshapes the scenery of our days to reflect the conviction held in the heart. This is why faith is the key to manifestation. It is the inner assurance that what we affirm already exists in spiritual substance. When faith becomes the lens through which we view life, the mirror glows with the radiance of that belief, and the outer world transforms accordingly. The person who understands this law walks through life with serenity, knowing that appearances have no power of their own. They no longer react to shadows on the mirror, but turn inward to the source of light. They bless what they see, even in imperfection, for they know that blessing refines the reflection. They cease to struggle with effects and focus, instead on maintaining the inner pattern of truth, love, and abundance. The mirror cannot resist such clarity, it must yield to the higher image impressed upon it. Every act of forgiveness clears the mirror. Every word of gratitude polishes it. Every affirmation of good brightens its reflection. As the inner vision grows purer, the outer experience becomes more radiant. The law is simple yet profound: change your belief, and the world changes with you. What you see around you is not fixed reality but mirrored consciousness, shimmering with the tone of your own conviction. When you know this deeply, you no longer fear the reflections that appear, for you hold the power to transform them by altering the image within. Abundance is the soul's natural condition, for the divine life within every being is limitless, creative, and ever-flowing. There is no scarcity in the infinite, no lack in the substance of spirit. The very essence of creation is expansion, growth, and overflow. Just as the sun gives light without depletion and the ocean sends forth waves without end, so does the soul radiate abundance by its very nature. It was never meant to struggle, grasp, or plead for supply, for it already possesses the seed of all fulfillment. When we align with this inner truth, the appearance of lack dissolves like mist before the morning sun, and life reveals itself as a continual outpouring of divine plenty. Human limitation arises only from separation, the false belief that we are apart from our source. The soul, however, is one with the infinite mind, and this unity ensures unending provision. The universe does not measure or ration abundance, it expresses it ceaselessly. The soil does not wonder whether it shall bear fruit, nor does the seed doubt its potential to blossom. All of nature moves in the rhythm of sufficiency. Only the human mind, clouded by fear and comparison, interrupts the flow. When thought is aligned with truth, the current resumes, and life rushes in to meet every need with perfect timing. To live in the awareness of abundance is to rest in divine assurance. It is to know that the same power that hung the stars and set the planets in motion operates through us, supplying every right desire. The soul's abundance is not confined to material wealth, though that too is included in divine provision. It is a state of overflowing good, love without limit, wisdom without boundary, joy without condition. These qualities are the currency of the spirit, and when they fill the heart, outer prosperity naturally follows. The visible world is but the reflection of invisible richness. To cultivate abundance within is to magnetize it without. The person who understands abundance as a spiritual law ceases to measure supply by appearances. They no longer fear loss, for they know that the source of all good is eternal and inexhaustible. Money, possessions, and opportunities are channels through which abundance flows, but they are not the source itself. When one grasps this truth, anxiety dissolves. For one realizes that if a channel closes, the source remains untouched and new channels will appear. To cling to outer forms is to mistake the mirror for the image, but to trust the infinite supply is to stand in the stream of endless replenishment. The soul was designed to express, not suppress. Every talent, dream, and desire is a divine impulse seeking manifestation. To deny one's own good is to resist the movement of life itself. The universe delights in giving, it is its nature to expand through expression. The trees stretch toward the light, the rivers carve paths to the sea, and the stars shine without restraint. Likewise, the soul prospers when it allows its gifts to flow outward in service and joy. The more it gives, the more it receives. For giving and receiving are one movement of the same law. To withhold is to create blockage, but to share is to remain open to the ceaseless current of divine increase. When the consciousness of abundance awakens, one sees that everything in life is already provided in essence. There is no distance between desire and fulfillment, only a difference in recognition. The moment one accepts abundance as their truth, the outer conditions begin to align with that knowing. The law of correspondence ensures that the inner pattern will reproduce itself in form. The individual who affirms, "I live in divine plenty," begins to attract situations, ideas, and people that mirror that vibration. The soul does not beg for abundance, it simply allows it to be revealed through faith and expectation. Scarcity, in all its forms, is but a shadow of disbelief. It is born from the conviction that something is missing, that the universe has withheld good. Yet how could the infinite, which is all, withhold anything? The illusion of lack persists only as long as we give it energy through fear and complaint. When we turn our attention from limitation to gratitude, the illusion breaks. Gratitude is the key that unlocks the storehouse of abundance, for it acknowledges that good already exists. The grateful heart multiplies its blessings, just as a clear spring expands when it flows freely. Every thought of thankfulness is a channel through which divine substance pours. To realize abundance is not to accumulate endlessly, but to live in the knowing that supply is continuous. True prosperity is not measured by what one possesses, but by one's awareness of unlimited provision. A person may have little in form and yet live richly, for their mind is attuned to divine sufficiency. Another may possess much and yet live in fear, for their trust is in the outer form rather than the inner source. The difference lies in consciousness, not circumstance. When one recognizes the self as an heir to infinite supply, peace replaces anxiety, and giving becomes as natural as breathing. The rhythm of abundance follows the law of circulation. All that flows out returns multiplied. The miserly heart closes its door to the inflow of good, while the generous heart, open and trusting, invites the river of life to pour through. Every act of kindness, every gift freely given, increases the current. The universe abhors stagnation, it demands movement and exchange. To hoard is to halt the flow, but to give joyfully is to affirm faith in the infinite. Thus, the consciousness of abundance expresses itself not through possession, but through participation in the divine cycle of giving and receiving. To embody abundance is to live without fear of tomorrow, for tomorrow is already prepared in the infinite plan. It is to walk through life with calm assurance, knowing that every need will be met, every opportunity will arise, every desire rooted in truth will unfold. It is to replace worry with trust, complaint with praise, and longing with knowing. The mind that knows abundance sees opportunity in every challenge, beauty in every delay, and blessing in every change. Nothing is lost in the divine economy, everything is transformed and renewed in perfect order. The soul's natural abundance reveals itself in quiet confidence, in radiant joy, and in the freedom to give without measure. It is not dependent on outer wealth, but manifests through it when consciousness allows. The abundance of the universe is infinite in form and expression. Ideas, relationships, inspiration, health, peace, all are streams of the one great river of life. When we cease to dam its flow with fear, it moves through us effortlessly, carrying us forward with its boundless energy. Every moment we affirm our unity with divine supply, the current grows stronger, and the soul remembers its original state free, prosperous, and whole. The spoken word shapes the reflection of reality, for every word uttered carries the vibration of creative power. Words are not mere sounds or symbols, they are spiritual forces clothed in language, messengers of thought that move into substance and form. The universe is responsive to tone and intention, echoing back the conviction that lies within speech. When one speaks from fear, the word becomes a mold for limitation, shaping conditions that mirror that vibration. When one speaks from faith, love, and assurance, the word calls forth harmony and abundance. The tongue is the pen of the creative mind, writing upon the ethers the pattern that life will later reflect. To speak carelessly is to scatter seeds without awareness, but to speak consciously is to command the unseen into order. From the beginning, creation has moved through the spoken decree. Let there be is the eternal formula of manifestation. The word, when charged with belief, becomes law in motion. It summons invisible substance to take form in alignment with its tone. Every declaration we make, whether in thought or aloud, sends forth energy that returns multiplied. To speak of lack is to invite its reflection, to speak of sufficiency is to set the pattern for provision. The world is filled with echoes of our own language, for speech is the vibration that molds reality. The individual who understands this power begins to guard their words as sacred instruments of creation. When words are spoken with conviction, they imprint the subconscious mind, which in turn directs circumstances to match their pattern. The subconscious accepts every word as truth, whether born of wisdom or fear. It does not reason, it simply fulfills. Therefore, the wise speak only that which they wish to see made manifest. They affirm good, harmony, and success, knowing that the word is a living seed that must bear fruit after its kind. Idle words, words of doubt, or words of complaint, though seemingly harmless, carry weight in the unseen realm. Each one contributes to the reflection that later appears in experience. To change one's words is to change one's world. The tone of speech carries the vibration of belief. Two people may speak the same words, yet their results will differ according to the faith behind them. The mere repetition of affirmations without feeling is like sowing seeds in dry soil, but words spoken with joy, certainty, and expectancy are alive with creative force. The universe does not respond to words alone, but to the emotion and conviction they contain. The heart gives the word its power, for speech without belief is empty sound, while speech filled with faith is divine decree. The spoken word can heal, uplift, and transform, for it carries within it the essence of spirit. A gentle word can calm turmoil, a word of truth can dissolve fear, a word of faith can open doors that seemed forever closed. The vibrations of speech penetrate both matter and mind, reorganizing conditions in accordance with their frequency. Every blessing spoken sends forth ripples of harmony. Every curse disturbs the mirror of reality. Thus, the speech of one attuned to divine law becomes a tool of restoration, shaping life into beauty and order. To understand the creative nature of words is to recognize that every conversation is an act of manifestation. When one speaks of harmony, one multiplies harmony. When one speaks of misfortune, one extends its shadow. Many unknowingly bind themselves by their own declarations, saying, "I can't. I never have enough. Nothing works out for me," and then wondering why such conditions persist. The mirror of life merely reflects what has been decreed. To reverse the reflection, one must reverse the word. Speak of what is desired, not of what is feared. Speak as though the good is already established, for the word of faith calls things that are not yet visible as though they were, and the universe rushes to fulfill the command. Speech is the outward expression of the inner pattern. The tongue reveals the quality of thought, and thought, when spoken, multiplies its effect. This is why the wise weigh their words carefully, knowing that they set the tone of experience. The person who habitually speaks of health, prosperity, and joy will inevitably attract these conditions, for the word aligns them with the vibration of abundance. The one who speaks of difficulty and struggle strengthens those very conditions. The law makes no exception, it mirrors the sound we give it. Every word is a mirror turned outward, and what it reflects depends entirely upon the image it projects. The power of the spoken word lies not in eloquence but in alignment. When one's words harmonize with divine truth, they carry authority. Words of truth do not strive or plead, they declare. They affirm that which is eternally real and deny power to appearances of discord. When one says, "I am guided, I am supplied, I am protected," these words spoken with faith set spiritual law in motion. The mirror of reality adjusts itself to reveal the image of those declarations. Words of fear and worry, however, set in motion the opposite pattern. Speech creates the atmosphere through which life operates. To live in mastery, one must speak as one who knows that every utterance is a decree sent into the universe to return as experience. The spoken word also acts as a magnet to others. Those who speak in tones of confidence and goodwill draw support, friendship, and opportunity. Those who speak in tones of bitterness or complaint repel them. The vibration of the word surrounds the speaker like an aura, influencing circumstances and attracting its likeness. This is why words of blessing are so powerful. They not only uplift others but purify the speaker's own field of energy. To bless is to align with divine flow, to curse is to resist it. Each spoken word either opens or closes the door to abundance, depending on whether it vibrates with faith or fear. When speech becomes a tool of conscious creation, the individual begins to experience life as cooperative rather than opposing. The universe listens, and it answers according to the command it receives. One who speaks of peace in the midst of turmoil will see peace emerge. One who speaks of order in chaos will find things aligning without effort. The outer world cannot resist the authority of the words spoken from the center of truth. Speech imbued with divine recognition carries the vibration of certainty, and certainty shapes substance into form. To speak truth is to affirm the unseen good that already exists. Every time one declares a positive word, they polish the mirror of reality, clearing away the fog of doubt. Words spoken in faith pierce the veil of appearances and call forth the perfection that lies behind them. When the tongue and heart are in harmony, speech becomes a sacred act of creation. Life, ever responsive, bends to the pattern of the word. For the word is law, and the law is unfailing. Each person, knowingly or not, speaks their world into existence day by day. The phrases repeated become the architecture of experience, the rhythm of speech forming the pulse of destiny. When one learns to use the word with awareness, speech becomes prayer, affirmation, and prophecy. The creative power that fashioned the universe listens through every soul, waiting to express itself through sound and intention. To speak consciously is to join in the divine act of creation, shaping reality by the vibration of living words. Faith and gratitude polish the mirror of manifestation, for they are the twin lights that clear the mind of fear and open the soul to divine reflection. Faith is the vision that sees beyond appearances, the steady knowing that good already exists in the unseen. Gratitude is the acknowledgement of that good as present, the joyous recognition that every blessing is already in motion toward fulfillment. Together they dissolve the shadows of doubt that cloud the mirror of consciousness, allowing the radiance of abundance to shine through unimpeded. The mirror does not change through effort or struggle. It becomes clear through trust and thankfulness, through the gentle polish of believing and rejoicing before the evidence appears. Faith is the inner assurance that the unseen is more real than the visible. It does not depend on proof, nor does it waver when circumstances seem contrary. It rests in divine law, knowing that what is held firmly in consciousness must appear in form. To the faithful mind, delay is not denial and challenge is not defeat. Faith sees with the eyes of spirit, and in that vision, all things are already complete. The mirror of life reflects the state of the heart, and faith keeps that heart luminous, free from the stains of fear and uncertainty. When one speaks with faith, acts with faith, and feels faith as a living presence, the unseen world rearranges itself to match that vibration. The reflection in the mirror becomes clear, bright, and harmonious, showing forth the divine image that faith holds within. Gratitude is the natural companion of faith, for it affirms what faith perceives. It is the song of the soul that knows abundance even before it is visible. Gratitude declares, "I have received," while others still wait to see. It opens the gate through which divine supply pours. The grateful heart is magnetic, drawing to itself ever greater expressions of the good it acknowledges. When one gives thanks for blessings unseen, the mirror of life hastens to reveal them. The universe rushes to match the tone of appreciation, for gratitude aligns the soul with the rhythm of giving and receiving. It transforms expectation into manifestation. For every thank you spoken in truth becomes a decree of completion. Faith and gratitude are not passive states but living forces. They move through the atmosphere of thought like cleansing winds, sweeping away the dust of doubt and resentment. When these two qualities dwell together in the heart, the mind becomes a polished mirror, reflecting divine order without distortion. The person who maintains faith in divine supply and gratitude for its unfailing flow becomes a center of attraction to every form of good. Their life begins to mirror serenity, fulfillment, and abundance, not because circumstances have changed first, but because consciousness has been purified. The mirror of manifestation grows dull when fear and complaint take hold. Every anxious thought clouds its surface, every word of discouragement adds another layer of film. Faith wipes these away. Gratitude restores the shine. When we thank life for its gifts, even in the midst of apparent lack, we are in truth polishing the mirror, revealing the reflection of plenty that was there all along. The faithful and grateful heart does not beg for miracles. It recognizes that the miracle already exists. It does not demand proof. It gives praise. And proof appears naturally as reflection. Faith is the power that sustains vision through the night of uncertainty. It is the steady flame that refuses to be extinguished by doubt. Gratitude is the warmth of that flame, radiating joy and assurance even in the darkness. When faith is joined with gratitude, manifestation becomes inevitable, for the two together create perfect receptivity. Faith builds the image in the mind, gratitude completes the circuit by releasing the vibration of fulfillment. The mirror then must respond, reflecting the form of the belief held within and the joy expressed without. The act of gratitude multiplies what it touches. When one gives thanks for health, health increases. When one gives thanks for love, love expands. When one gives thanks for prosperity, channels of supply open wider. Gratitude is not bound by circumstance. It creates new ones. Faith provides the blueprint. Gratitude breathes life into it. This is why the one who practices both walks through life with radiant calm. They do not chase after good. They recognize it everywhere. They do not lament over loss. They bless the transformation it brings. The mirror reflects what is before it, and the consciousness filled with faith and gratitude shows only light. When faith is weak, the mirror dims, and life seems uncertain. The remedy is not struggle but remembrance, remembering that divine order never fails. Even a small spark of faith, fanned by gratitude, can illuminate the whole mind. The heart that whispers, "Thank you," in adversity lifts itself above circumstance and reclaims the higher view. Gratitude is the language of faith made audible, the sound of trust expressing itself through joy. Every act of thanksgiving, every sincere word of appreciation polishes the inner glass, removing the film of doubt until only clarity remains. Faith and gratitude together create momentum in the unseen realm. They turn stagnant thought into flowing energy. They move the soul from desire into realization. When one gives thanks for something not yet visible, faith has already completed its work. The universe cannot withhold from the grateful heart, for gratitude acknowledges receipt. It transforms waiting into celebration, expectation into assurance. The mirror, ever obedient, must then display the image consistent with that frequency. The more one practices gratitude, the more quickly manifestation follows, for every thankful thought refines the alignment between spirit and form. The one who lives in faith and gratitude walks in quiet mastery. They speak little of lack, for they see abundance everywhere. They do not question divine timing, for they know that each moment unfolds in perfect rhythm. They thank life in advance for every gift, and the mirror responds with grace. Even when appearances seem barren, they bless the invisible growth beneath the surface. Their faith does not depend on evidence, it creates evidence. Their gratitude does not wait for manifestation, it brings manifestation forth. Through their inner radiance, they become a beacon of assurance, inspiring others to trust and rejoice. The law of reflection is exact. What is within must appear without. Faith and gratitude are the tools that keep the inner image clear and bright. To lose faith is to forget the truth of divine abundance. To lose gratitude is to close the gate through which abundance flows. Together, they maintain the purity of thought that allows divine substance to shape itself in perfect expression. The more one practices them, the less effort is needed, for the mirror stays polished through continual recognition of good. Faith sees the perfect pattern even when the form is incomplete. Gratitude celebrates that perfection as already done. Between the two, the creative process is fulfilled. The mirror of life, shining and undistorted, reflects the beauty of a consciousness anchored in trust and lifted by praise. Every blessing that comes, every harmony that unfolds, is but the reflection of a mind that believes and a heart that gives thanks. Faith provides the light, gratitude provides the shine, and together, they reveal the image of divine abundance that was present from the beginning. Alignment with divine law reveals infinite supply. For the universe moves in perfect order, and all good flows through harmony with that order. The divine law is not a rule imposed from without, but the very rhythm of creation within every soul. It governs the stars in their courses, the tides in their ebb and flow, and the pulse of life in all things. When one aligns thought, feeling, and action with this sacred rhythm, abundance becomes natural and effortless, as the current of the river carries the leaf without resistance. The universe is infinitely generous, yet it can only give through channels that are open and attuned. Alignment is the art of opening those channels, of bringing one's consciousness into unity with the source of supply that never ceases to flow. Divine law is the law of perfect balance and correspondence. It answers every vibration with its own reflection, returning to each according to their belief and tone. When the mind holds thoughts of fear or separation, it sets up resistance, and the flow of good appears obstructed. But when the heart trusts, when thought and word are harmonious with truth, the blockage dissolves and the current moves freely. To align with divine law is to understand that abundance is not something to pursue, but something to permit. It is to cease struggling against the stream, and instead move with its eternal rhythm, confident that every need is met through the wisdom of the infinite. The law of abundance does not fail, only the human mind, through misunderstanding, places itself out of tune. One may desire prosperity yet secretly hold thoughts of limitation, unworthiness, or doubt. These discordant vibrations disrupt alignment and distort the reflection. The universe cannot deliver harmony to a consciousness filled with contradiction. Alignment requires unity, thought, emotion, and speech moving together in affirmation of divine order. When belief and expression are one, manifestation follows as surely as sunrise follows dawn. The outer world mirrors the inner agreement. The soul that declares its oneness with divine supply and feels that truth deeply cannot fail to draw its visible expression. To live in alignment is to live in peace, for peace is the foundation of abundance. The restless mind, driven by anxiety and striving, cuts itself off from flow. The calm mind, centered in trust, opens every gate. Divine law works through stillness more than struggle. The moment one ceases to resist and begins to cooperate, life responds with grace. This cooperation is not passive acceptance but active harmony, a conscious attunement to truth through faith, gratitude, and right action. It is the awareness that there is no power opposed to good, no reality in lack, no separation from the source of supply. The aligned soul knows that everything needed is already present in substance and merely awaits recognition to appear in form. Infinite supply is the natural expression of divine law. It cannot diminish, for it is drawn from inexhaustible spirit. Every idea of limitation is a shadow cast by ignorance of this truth. Just as darkness is not a thing, but an absence of light, so lack is not a condition but an absence of awareness. To bring oneself into alignment with the law is to turn on the light of understanding, and the shadow vanishes instantly. The mind illuminated by truth perceives abundance everywhere, in the beauty of nature, in the opportunities of each day, in the quiet assurance of divine guidance. The world itself becomes a reflection of limitless substance, because consciousness has accepted its reality. Alignment begins with recognition. One must first recognize the existence of divine law as the governing intelligence of all creation. This recognition brings reverence, for it reveals that nothing happens by chance and nothing stands outside the reach of harmony. When thought is aligned with law, confusion ends, for one understands that every cause bears its own result, and that right thinking inevitably produces right experience. To live by this awareness is to live deliberately, choosing thoughts that cooperate with good. The moment one chooses love instead of fear, faith instead of worry, gratitude instead of complaint, alignment is restored and the current of supply resumes its flow. The soul aligned with divine law moves without strain. It no longer fears the future or mourns the past, for it knows that divine intelligence orchestrates every detail of existence. It acts with confidence, speaks with authority, and rests in serenity. It does not hurry, for it knows that all unfolds in perfect time. This quiet certainty is not born of resignation but of understanding. The aligned person is not carried by whim but by principle. They are anchored in truth while open to inspiration. Such alignment draws opportunities, friendships, and resources without effort, for the law of attraction is simply the law of correspondence in motion. Like responds to like, harmony attracts harmony, abundance gathers where consciousness is abundant. When alignment falters, when the mirror grows clouded by fear or doubt, the way to restore it is through remembrance of divine order. One must pause, breathe, and realign with truth. This may be done through silent affirmation, through gratitude, through the simple act of trusting again. Alignment is never lost permanently. It can be renewed in any instant by returning thought to the center of faith. Divine law does not punish misalignment, it merely mirrors it, allowing us to learn through experience. Each discordant reflection serves to remind us to return to harmony. The universe forever calls us back into balance, back into flow, back into the awareness that all is provided when we align with the source. To align with divine law is to recognize oneself as part of the creative process. It is to know that every thought is a command, every feeling a signal, every action a seed. The law does not favor one over another, it simply fulfills the pattern it is given. Therefore, to align is to choose that pattern consciously. One becomes the designer of experience, shaping life according to truth rather than illusion. The individual who holds thoughts of love, speaks words of abundance, and acts with integrity becomes a living channel of divine supply. Through them, the universe expresses its generosity, and their world reflects endless provision. Infinite supply is not something distant or reserved for a chosen few. It is the very nature of being. It surrounds and fills all things, waiting only for acknowledgement. The law is impartial. It gives to all who align with it. The moment one ceases to deny good, ceases to fear loss, ceases to hold others in resentment, the gates of supply open wide. Forgiveness restores alignment, for it clears the current of obstruction. Joy strengthens alignment, for it harmonizes with the vibration of divine energy. Gratitude sustains alignment, for it keeps attention fixed on the abundance that is already present. The aligned mind becomes a radiant magnet through which the unseen becomes visible. The invisible becomes tangible, and the potential becomes real. The revelation of infinite supply comes when one no longer looks outside for confirmation, but within for connection. The divine law operates through consciousness, not circumstance. What appears outside is only the mirror of what is believed within. To align is to remember that the source of all good is within the self, within the divine center of being that is one with infinite mind. From that point of unity, the flow begins. It extends outward through thought, through word, through deed, and returns multiplied through every avenue of life. The more completely one surrenders to this flow, the more boundless it becomes. The soul that rests in alignment with divine law lives in perpetual sufficiency, seeing only the reflection of infinite supply wherever it turns.